The rain hammered the roof like it was trying to punch through, and I slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. My best friend's voice chasing me down the hall. "Alex, wait! Don't do this!" Isaiah yelled, but I was already gone. Keys jangling in my fist as I bolted into the storm. Lightning cracked the sky open, and in that white-hot flash, I saw it all. The betrayal etched on his face. The secret we'd buried for years spilling out like blood from a fresh wound. But it wasn't Isaiah I was running from. It was Tanner, his little brother, the one who'd crashed into my life like a freight train and derailed everything I thought I knew about love. I wasn't supposed to fall for him. Hell, I wasn't even supposed to notice him that way. Isaiah and I had been thick as thieves since freshman year at the University of Washington. Two Seattle kids bonding over bad coffee and worse poetry slams in the U District. He was the loud one, all fire and charisma. The guy who could charm a barista into a free pour-over while ranting about indie bands no one had heard of. Me? I was the quiet anchor, the one crashing on his couch after late shifts at the bookstore, nursing hangovers with his mom's leftover lasagna. We were family, the kind that didn't need blood to stick. Gay as hell, both of us, but we'd never crossed that line. Too messy, too risky for a friendship forged in dive bars and all-night cram sessions. That all changed the night Isaiah called me from Portland, his voice cracking like cheap vinyl. "Alex, man, I need a favor. Tanner's in trouble. Real trouble." Tanner, Isaiah's kid brother, the golden boy from their fractured family up in Bellingham. I'd met him a handful of times at holidays. This lanky teenager with Isaiah's sharp jaw but softer eyes, always tagging along like a shadow, sketching in the margins of napkins while we bullshitted about life. Last I'd heard, he was flunking out of community college, chasing some half-baked dream of being a graphic designer in a city that chewed up artists like bubblegum. What kind of trouble? I asked, already regretting the question because Isaiah's family drama was a black hole, sucking in light and spitting out wreckage. Family shit. Dad kicked him out after, the usual Bible-thumping crap. Mom's no help. She's got her hands full with the new step whatever. He needs a place to crash, just till he gets on his feet. A week, tops. Please, Alex. You're the only one I trust. I should have said no. My one-bedroom in Capitol Hill was a shoebox. Exposed brick walls plastered with gig posters. A kitchenette that doubled as a laundry hamper. And a Murphy bed that creaked like it was auditioning for a horror flick. Rent was killing me, and the last thing I needed was a moody 20-year-old underfoot. But Isaiah sounded wrecked, and loyalty's a bitch like that. Fine I materde. Send him over. Tanner showed up 2 days later, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, rain dripping from his hood like he'd swum the Sound to get there. He was taller than I remembered, 6 foot something, all lean muscle from whatever odd jobs he'd scraped together. And those eyes, hazel flecked with green, hit me like a gut punch. "Hey, Alex," he said, voice low and gravelly, extending a hand that swallowed mine. "Thanks for this. I owe you." "No big deal," I told myself as I showed him the couch, tossing him a spare blanket and pointing out the coffee pot. He'd be gone soon, back to whatever chaos awaited in Portland or wherever Isaiah had lined up next. But that first night, as thunder rolled in from the Olympics, we stayed up talking. Real talking, not the surface bullshit Isaiah and I traded. He sketched while I rambled about the bookstore's latest shipment of queer lit, Vonnegut dog-eared and smelling like pipe smoke. "You ever feel like you're just waiting for the punchline?" he asked, charcoal smudging his fingers as he drew a jagged skyline that looked suspiciously like our view of the Space Needle. "All the time," I admitted, passing him a beer from the mini-fridge. "Like life's got this script, and you're the side character who gets written off." He looked up then, really looked, and something shifted. A spark in the dim lamplight, warm and dangerous. We didn't touch, didn't even lean in, but by dawn, with the city waking under a slate-gray sky, I knew I was screwed. The days blurred into a rhythm that felt too easy, too right. Morning started with the hiss of the espresso machine. Me grinding beans from the market on Pike Street. Him shuffling out in boxers and a threadbare Husky's tee, hair a glorious mess. "You're a lifesaver," he'd groan, inhaling the steam like it was oxygen. I'd play it cool, flipping pancakes from a box mix while he scrolled job listings on his cracked laptop, muttering about freelance gigs that paid in exposure. Afternoons, I'd drag him to the bookstore for shifts, stacking shelves between customers, whispering recommendations for books that hit too close. Giovanni's Room for the Ache of Hidden Desires. Call Me by Your Name for the summer heat of first love. Seattle wrapped around us like a damp embrace. All fog-shrouded fairies and street musicians strumming covers of Elliott Smith under the market's awnings. We hiked Discovery Park one drizzly Saturday. Boots squelching through mud. The Salish Sea crashing below like it was applauding our secrets. Isaiah never shuts up about you, Tanner said, skipping a stone across the waves. Says you're the brother he wishes he had. I laughed it off, but inside, it twisted. Jealousy? Guilt? He's family, I said. You both are now. That night, back in the apartment, the power flickered out during a storm. Candles guttered on the coffee table, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. We shared a bottle of cheap red from the corner QFC, knees brushing under the blanket fort we jury-rigged from couch cushions. Tell me something real, he challenged, wine staining his lips crimson. I hesitated, heart hammering. I'm scared. Of this city, of getting stuck. Of wanting things I can't have. My voice cracked on the last word, and his hand found mine in the dark. Fingers lacing tentative, electric. Me too, he whispered. But with you, it feels like I could try. We kissed then, soft and searching, like we'd been starving for air. It wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet unraveling, his stubble rough against my chin, the taste of Merlot and rain. We pulled back, foreheads touching, breaths sinking in the candlelight. This complicates everything, I murmured. Yeah, he agreed, thumb tracing my knuckle. But worth it. God, yes. The complication hit like a Puget Sound squall. Fast, fierce, and impossible to outrun. For a week, it was paradise in miniature. Stolen glances over breakfast, his hand lingering on my lower back as we navigated the crowded aisles at Elliott Bay Books. We'd text dumb memes during my shifts, him from the couch, job hunting. Me from the register, scanning dog-eared paperbacks for lost souls like us. Evenings bled into nights of takeout from the Thai place on Broadway. Pad CU tangled on forks, laughter echoing off the brick as we dissected the L-word reruns, debating if Shane was a villain or just misunderstood. Tanner opened up in fragments, like pages from a worn journal. His dad's rages, scripture-spouting thunderclaps over choices that weren't choices at all. Mom's silence, a wall thicker than the evergreens lining I-5. Isaiah, the big brother who'd escaped to UW on a partial ride, leaving Tanner to fend off the fallout alone. He tried, Tanner said one night, curled against me on the Murphy bed we'd finally unfolded. Called every weekend, wired what cash he could. But I was the screw-up, the one who couldn't pray it away. You're not a screw-up, I said fiercely, pulling him closer. His heartbeat thrummed against my chest, steady as the tide. You're here, surviving. That's more than most. He tilted his head, eyes searching mine in the streetlight glow filtering through the blinds. And you? What's your armor, Alex? I swallowed hard. Mine was easier to name. The ex who'd ghosted after coming out went viral in our high school group chat, the parade of hookups that left me hollow, the fear that love was just a pretty lie for straight folks. I hide in stories, I confessed. Books, friends. Isaiah's my rock. He gets it, the whole queer in the rain mess. Tanner's smile faltered, just a flicker. Yeah, Isaiah. We didn't talk about him much after that, but his shadow loomed. Texts pinging my phone with check-ins. How's the kid holding up? Beers soon? I'd reply vague, protective, like guarding a flame from the wind. Tanner landed a gig designing logos for a startup in Fremont. Some app for urban gardeners? Ironic given his black thumb. And suddenly, our shoebox felt like home. He bought wilted tulips from the market, stuck them in a mason jar on the windowsill. For luck, he grinned, and I believed him. Then the call came, shattering the illusion. It was a Thursday, gray as ash, and I was elbow-deep in inventory when Isaiah burst through the bookstore door, coat shedding water like a drowned dog. Alex, where's my phone? I left it here last time. His eyes were wild, scanning shelves like a man hunted. Back office, I said, wiping hands on my apron. What's up? You look like hell. He raked fingers through sodden hair. Tanner, he tell you anything? My stomach dropped. About what? Isaiah leaned in, voice a hiss. Portland. That job I hooked him up with? It's not just design. It's with my ex's firm. And shit, Alex, he's been lying. About everything. Lying? The word landed like a slap. I forced calm, leading him to the office, but my mind raced. Tanner's late nights at the library. The way he dodged questions about Isaiah's calls. What do you mean? Isaiah paced, boots tracking mud. I went up there last weekend. Unannounced. Caught him at some bar with this guy, older, loaded. They were close. Too close. And get this, the job? It's bullshit. Funded by Dad's church connections. Some rehab program disguised as graphic work. They're trying to fix him, Alex. Pray the gay away. The room tilted. Tanner hadn't mentioned Portland, hadn't breathed a word about visits or schemes. Betrayal burned hot. But underneath? Fear. For him, for us. He didn't tell me. I whispered. Isaiah's face crumpled. I knew it. He's spiraling, man. Always has. That's why I sent him to you, to keep him straight. No pun. He laughed, bitter, but it died quick. Help me bring him home. Tonight. I nodded numbly, clocking out early. The walk back was torture. Rain lashing my face, Capitol Hill's neon blurring into streaks of regret. Tanner was waiting, sketchpad open, a half-eaten pizza box on the coffee table. Hey, stranger, he said, standing to kiss me. Soft, familiar. I pulled back. Isaiah was at the store. His color drained. What did he say? Everything. The words tasted like ash. Portland. The job. The program. Tanner sank onto the couch, head in hands. It's not what you think. I went up to confront Dad, end it for good. The job was a cover, yeah, but I ditched it day one. Met this guy at a coffee shop, he was just nice. No strings. And you didn't tell me? My voice rose, cracking. We promised real, Tanner. No hiding. He looked up, eyes glassy. I was ashamed. Of the family crap, of dragging you into it. Isaiah's been pushing me to fix things with Dad. Says it's closure. But it's poison, Alex. All of it. The door buzzer screamed then. Isaiah's code. Tanner froze. Don't let him in. But I did, because loyalty, that bitch again. Isaiah stormed up, filling the doorway like a tempest. Tanner, what the fuck? You ghost me for weeks. Lie about Portland. It's none of your business. Tanner shot back on his feet now, fists balled. You're my brother. Everything's my business. Isaiah's gaze flicked to me, pleading. Alex, back me up. Tell him he's gotta face this. I stood between them, heart splintering. Brothers? Bloodbound. Their shared scars a language I couldn't speak. He's not a kid anymore, Isaiah. Let him breathe. Betrayal flashed in Isaiah's eyes, raw, accusatory. You're taking his side? After everything. It's not sides. I pleaded. It's us. The word hung, heavy with implication, and realization dawned on Isaiah's face, horror blooming. You and him? Jesus, Alex. That's. The slap echoed, not physical but the fracture of trust. Isaiah backed away, shaking his head. I trusted you. Both of you. He turned, slamming the door, the building shuddering in his wake. Tanner reached for me, trembling. I'm sorry. I should've. But the damage was done. Cracks spiderwebbed through us, invisible but lethal. That night we clung together, whispers turning to sobs, but sleep evaded, the storm outside mirroring the one within. The fallout lingered like Seattle's perpetual drizzle. Insistent, chilling to the bone. Isaiah ghosted us both, his socials gone silent, texts unread. I called, left voicemails thick with apology. Man, we need to talk. It's not what it looks like. But the read receipts mocked me, blue ticks turning to tombstones. Tanner withdrew too, sketching less, staring out the window at the ferries chugging toward Bainbridge like they carried all the answers. Guilt gnawed at me, a constant companion. I'd chosen Tanner, chosen us, over the brother I'd claimed as my own. Was that betrayal or just the brutal math of the heart? Nights blurred into marathons of It's Always Sunny reruns. Laughter forced. His head on my lap as I carted fingers through his hair. We'll fix it, I'd murmur. But doubt crept in, whispering that some breaks don't mend. Then the note came, slipped under the door like contraband. Isaiah's scrawl on bookstore stationery. Meet me. Gas Works Park. Midnight. Alone. My pulse thrummed as I pocketed it. Tanner asleep beside me. Oblivious. The park was a relic. Abandoned gasification plant turned Twilight Zone. Rusting silos silhouetted against the black water. The city lights a distant constellation. I arrived early, wind whipping off Lake Union, carrying the tang of industry and regret. Isaiah emerged from the shadows, hands jammed in his pockets, face gaunt under the sodium lamps. You came. Course I did. We stood awkward, the space between us a chasm. Isaiah. About. Don't. He held up a hand, voice raw. I get it. The heart wants what it wants. But Tanner? He's my blood, Alex. And you were supposed to be mine. The words landed like shrapnel. Supposed to be? He laughed, hollow. Yeah, I buried it deep, too deep maybe. All those years, crashing on your couch, late-night confessions. I told myself it was friendship. But seeing you two, it ripped the lid off. My world tilted. Isaiah, my Isaiah, harboring the same ache. Flashes collided. His hand on my shoulder lingering too long. The way he'd light up at my texts. Why didn't you say? Fear. He shrugged, eyes on the dark water. Of losing you, of the mess. And now, I lost you anyway. Tears stung, hot against the cold. You didn't lose me. This, us, it's not over. But he shook his head, stepping closer, close enough to smell the rain on his coat. It has to be. For him. For all of us. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing a tear I hadn't noticed. Be good to him, Alex. He's more fragile than he lets on. Then he kissed me. Not hungry, but farewell. Soft, aching, tasting of salt and what-ifs. I froze, then leaned in, a goodbye to the ghost of us. When he pulled away, the park felt emptier, the wind howling loss. I love you, he whispered. Always will. But go home to him. I stumbled back to the apartment as dawn bled pink over the hills. Tanner stirring as I slipped in. Where were you? He mumbled, voice thick with sleep. Fixing things. I crawled beside him, pulling him close. It's okay now. But lies have weight and this one pressed heavy. Days turned to weeks. Tanner's freelance picked up. Logos blooming into a portfolio that caught eyes at a design meetup in Belltown. We celebrated with crab cakes at Ivor's, watching gulls wheel over the piers. His foot hooked around mine under the table. This could be it, he said, eyes bright. Real life. With you. I smiled, but Isaiah's kiss lingered. A phantom bruise. The high tide crashed on All Saints' Eve, Isaiah's birthday. Tanner insisted we invite him, closure, he called it, sketching an olive branch in the form of a custom card, all looping ferns and inside jokes. I caved, texting the address of our favorite dive on Pike. Low lights, jukebox crooning Tom Waits, the kind of place that forgave sins over whiskey. He showed, late, windswept, carrying a six-pack like an offering. The air crackled as we clinked bottles, small talk skittering like rain on pavement. Missed this, Isaiah said, gaze flicking between us, landing soft on Tanner. You look good, little bro happy. Tanner flushed, squeezing my hand under the table. Yeah, thanks to Alex. Isaiah's smile didn't reach his eyes. He's something, all right? The jukebox flipped to Sea of Love, and the bar emptied to couples swaying, drunken, defiant. Tanner tugged me up, laughing, his body fitting mine like it was made for it. Isaiah watched from the booth, expression unreadable, until he joined us. 3 bodies in a clumsy triangle, hands brushing, breaths mingling. It was innocent, almost a reclaiming of what we'd lost. But outside, under the market's clock tower, the storm broke. Rain sheeted down, neon reflecting in rivers at our feet. Isaiah grabbed Tanner's arm, voice urgent. I need to tell you something. About Dad. Tanner stiffened. Not now. Yes, now. Isaiah's eyes met mine, pleading permission. I nodded, heart pounding. The program's not just church bullshit. Dad's sick, cancer, stage 4. He wants you back. Not to fix you, but before it's over. Tanner reeled, color draining. He said that. Isaiah nodded, rain streaking his face. Called me last week. Apologized for everything. Said he was wrong. About you, about us. The alley closed in, thunder rumbling like judgment. Tanner's knees buckled. I caught him, Isaiah on the other side, our arms linking in a desperate brace. Why didn't you say sooner? Tanner choked. Fear again. Isaiah's voice broke. Of hope. Of it being too late. We stood there, soaked to the soul, the city a blurred watercolor. Tanner turned to me, eyes searching. What do I do? You go? I said, throat tight. See him. Forgive if you can. That's the real fix. He nodded, then pulled Isaiah into a hug. Fierce. Forgiving. You too. We're brothers. Always. Isaiah's gaze found mine over Tanner's shoulder. Gratitude. Ache. Release. As the rain eased to mist, we walked back together, arms linked, the weight lifting like fog off the sound. Months later, Tanner and I stood on the ferry deck, wind whipping our scarves, Seattle shrinking to an emerald jewel. He'd seen his dad, raw talks in a sterile room, hands clasped over regrets, no miracles but peace, fragile as rice paper. Isaiah joined us weekends, the three of us rebuilding. Hikes in the Cascades, bonfires on Alki Beach, stories swapped like heirlooms. Love isn't a straight line. It's a messy loop, full of detours and doublebacks. Tanner's my anchor now, his sketches adorning our new place in Ballard, walls echoing with laughter instead of silence. Isaiah's found his own path, a podcast on queer Pacific Northwest history, voice steady, healing. We shifted worlds that rainy season, but in the end we found our place. Not perfect, but ours. Human, flawed, and fiercely alive.